Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, we'll be discussing the category of patterns in menswear known as tartan, their illustrious history, and how to incorporate them well into your outfits. So, let's start today by answering the basic question, what is tartan? In the most general terms, tartan is a type of checked pattern. As a reminder, a check is a pattern of horizontal and vertical lines that create small squares and that can incorporate multiple colors, though it doesn't necessarily have to. It can also be further enhanced by an overcheck in a different color. For more information on different checks, you can check out our video on these patterns here. More specifically, tartan is a pattern of intersecting horizontal and vertical bands in differing widths and colors, and in its most traditional weave would be considered a serge twill. Tartan's alternating weave forms visible diagonal lines where different colors cross and can also give the appearance of creating new colors where these lines intersect. Tartans originated almost exclusively in woven wool, but today you can find them in a variety of other materials. And while the definition of a tartan was originally one that was made only from woven material, you can also find tartans today that are printed instead of woven. In traditional Scottish Gaelic, tartan is known as breacan, which means multiple colors. As late as the 1830s, a tartan didn't actually have to be made up of any pattern at all, just multiple colors. But since then, the meanings of tartan and breacan merged over time to become known as a certain pattern in a certain type of weave. So you may be asking at this point, where does the term plaid come into play? Especially in the United States, tartans are generally referred to by the more generic term plaid. In Scotland, a plaid is a garment, not a pattern. Specifically, it refers to a long rectangular strip of cloth worn over the shoulder, usually the left, and that can be folded or unfolded to be used as a blanket. Also, these cloths can be hand-pleated and worn with a belt, in which case they'd be referred to as belted plaids, and are worn in place of a conventional kilt, which has pleats sewn in. Since these types of garments almost always sport different tartan patterns, the confusion between the words tartan and plaid likely has its source here. Also, plaid cloths in a particular tartan pattern known as the Rob Roy became commonly traded in the American West in the 1880s. This pattern, which came to be commonly associated with cowboys as well as lumberjacks, came to be known as buffalo plaid in the United States, further cementing the confusion between the two terms. Outside of Scotland, the term plaid can now also refer to any type of checked pattern in two or more colors. Phrased another way, plaid is a synonym for check in fabrics, and while all tartans are plaids, not all plaids are tartans. Also, here's an important definition that we'll be employing later on. The specific pattern on any given tartan is referred to as a set. The shades of color in any given tartan set can also be varied to produce different variations on the same general tartan. So, where did the tartan pattern come from originally then? It's a bit of a long story, but here's a brief overview. The earliest documented tartan found in Scotland, referred to as the Falkirk tartan, dates from the 3rd century CE and features a very simple check pattern of alternating dark and light natural wool. Tartan as we know it today is not thought to have existed in Scotland prior to the 16th century. The Dress Act of 1746 attempted to bring the warring Scottish clans under British government control by banning tartan entirely, as well as other elements of Gaelic culture. When this act was repealed in 1782, tartan was no longer just an everyday fabric, but was then decided that it should be made the national dress of Scotland. In 1842, Queen Victoria and her husband Prince Albert traveled to Scotland themselves and purchased Balmoral Castle there. Prince Albert personally took care of the interior design of the castle himself, and he incorporated lots of tartan into it. Queen Victoria designed the Victoria tartan, and Prince Albert designed the Balmoral tartan, and both of these still see wide use today, by the royals and by commoners. Because of its association with British royalty and aristocracy around this period, tartan in general started developing an air of dignity and exclusivity to it. This trope has occasionally been subverted, however. For example, the punk rock scene of the 1970s in Britain saw widespread use of tartan as a kind of mocking anti-establishment symbol. Also, the grunge music scene of the 1990s, particularly in the United States, saw lots of tartan patterns used as well. All this being said, Scotland is where tartan really took root, to the extent that different Scottish clans adopted clan tartans over time. The naming and registration of specific clan tartans began in 1815 upon a resolution from the Highland Society of London. Today, however, almost all Scottish clans have several types of tartans associated with their name, and several clans also have official tartans, as documented by various official societies. So, there you have it. Now that we've covered the wide and varied history of tartan patterns, let's talk about how to wear and pair them well in your outfits. Given its heritage, tartan is an ideal choice for autumn and winter wear, as well as for the business casual dress code. Conversely, it's a little too rustic to be worn in a traditional white-collar business environment. And while it's too loud to be worn with white tie ensembles, conservative tartans such as Black Watch have had a history in black tie dress codes since at least the middle of the 20th century. On that note, you can take a look at our videos on dressing for the office and a general dress code primer here, and you can also check out our PDF ebooks on black tie and white tie in our shop here. With that in mind, let's dive into some of its more specific applications, starting with probably the most widely seen application of tartan in clothing, shirts. In the realm of casual wear, especially in the cooler months, it's hard to beat a flannel button-up in tartan or in a more general plaid pattern. It can be worn with denim, corduroy, or khakis, and even layered under a sport coat, perhaps in a fabric like a muted wool tweed. Now let's talk about tartan suits. While full suits in loud red and green tartans are available, these types of ensembles are really more at home in the world of high fashion than in traditional menswear. Instead, we suggest opting for a more subtle and largely monochromatic tartan, which is to say really more of a general plaid, or something that's dark yet colorful, such as the Black Watch set. Layers underneath the suit's jacket should ideally be subdued and monochromatic, such as a white or light blue dress shirt or a dark turtleneck sweater. Similarly here, your accessories should also be tasteful and uncomplicated so as not to clash in focus with the tartan pattern. Tartan sport coats can be a little bit more bright and bold than full tartan suits can. As with suits and sweaters, though, it's best when wearing a tartan sport coat to make sure that the other elements of your outfit, including your trousers and shirt, are more subdued. Also, tartan wears well as the pattern on an odd waistcoat or vest, though if you're wearing one of these, it's best to pair it with a plain or very subtly patterned jacket so that the two patterns don't clash. Tartan trousers worn without a matching jacket should generally follow the same principles we've just outlined for solo tartan sport coats. A subdued set paired with a muted jacket, either plain or faintly patterned, will be your most versatile option, whereas something bold and loud in tartan patterns on trousers would situate them firmly within the realm of go-to-hell pants. On that note, you can find our article on this particular type of ostentatious pants here. Let's move now to neckwear, starting with tartan ties. You're probably beginning to sense a pattern here, and I don't just mean the tartan pattern itself. A tartan necktie can be even more colorful than a jacket or trousers can be, but the louder the tartan pattern on an accessory gets, the more muted your other garment should be to help balance things out. A plain dark suit or sport coat, perhaps in navy or charcoal, will work best with a boldly patterned tartan tie. If you're feeling a bit more adventurous, these garments can also incorporate subtle patterns of their own, though remember that balance is key. Still within the realm of neckwear, a great way to introduce tartan into your outfits is through an accessory that's primarily designed to be functional. As such, a tartan scarf is perhaps the poster child for this principle. As before, it's easiest to opt for subtler tartans with more neutral base tones. Take, for example, the black watch tartan scarf that's available in the Fort Belvedere shop. You can click the link to take a closer look. For tartan pocket squares, the same rules generally apply as for neckwear. Tartan pocket squares, either in wool or silk, can add a pop of color to an otherwise more muted outfit. And out of all the types of garments we've discussed today, you've got the greatest liberty to be really bold with a pocket square in tartan. Regarding hats, flat caps are a traditional choice that remains stylish today. They're great for fall style, and they come in various materials, primarily tweed, and also different kinds of pattern and color combinations, including tartans and generally plaids. On a related note, you can take a look at our video on flat caps here, as well as our video on the long and storied history of the tweed fabric here. Some more casual men's shoe designs might also feature tartan patterns directly incorporated. Tartan shoes aside, here are a few tips for pairing more conventional shoe styles with tartan patterned garments. As we've said in the past, brown is the most versatile shoe and boot color for outfits consisting of a combination of sport coats and odd trousers. You can get away with an informal shoe in black as well, such as perhaps a horsebit loafer, if the tartan patterned elements in your outfit are especially bold. If you're wearing more muted tartan accessories with a charcoal suit, however, feel free to wear a conventional black Oxford shoe. Regarding one final type of accessory today, let's discuss boutonnieres. Of course, with any type of outfit, boutonnieres are a great way to add that special touch of sprezzatura. Choose a flower that isn't too large, as tartan can already be a relatively bold pattern on its own, and go for something in a color that echoes something in the tartan or elsewhere around your outfit. Of course, you can take a look at our wide selection of boutonnieres that could go with any outfit in the Fort Belvedere shop here. In conclusion, then, there are over 5,000 different individual sets of tartan available, so any man should be able to find a particular tartan pattern that suits his tastes as well as the occasion, provided he follows the advice we've outlined in today's video. What were you most surprised to learn about the history of tartans and plaids in menswear in today's video? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell icon so these videos can come straight to your inbox. In today's video, I'm incorporating tartan into my outfit in a fairly safe and standard way, which is to say, in my accessories. The vintage bow tie features a tartan set primarily in white and red, with accents in green, black, and yellow. Meanwhile, the set of the pocket square is primarily red, with accents in black, white, and green. We wouldn't normally suggest that you wear two different tartan pieces at one time, but because these two pieces feature different principal colors in their sets, and also because they're at slightly different scales, we're just showing you that in principle, it can be done. Of course, don't ever wear a tartan tie and pocket square in the exact matching set, as they're just going to look like you bought them together at the store, and that'll come off as pretty amateurish. Following the advice we gave several times in today's video, the remaining elements of my outfit are conservative and muted to balance with the bold tartan patterns. My sport coat features a very faint houndstooth pattern in navy and a slightly lighter blue. On that note, you can take a look at our video on houndstooth patterns in menswear here. My shirt is a plain light blue to complement the jacket, my trousers are plain charcoal, and my socks are plain navy, also to complement the jacket. My dark oxblood penny loafers echo some of the red tones that are found in the different tartan sets. My other accessories today are from Fort Belvedere. We'll start with my platinum-plated sterling silver cufflinks in an eagle claw design and featuring malachite as the stone. I could have gone with red cufflinks for a more typical look, but I decided it might be a smart choice to go for something in green to echo the secondary colors of the tartan sets. Finally, my white phlox boutonniere is small and understated so that it doesn't get in the way of the plaid tie and plaid pocket square. Of course, you can find our wide selection of both cufflinks and boutonnieres, as well as lots of other kinds of accessories in the Fort Belvedere shop here.